What up, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Coming to you from Waterford Studios 10 with another Friday Roundtable. Let's rock it out, starting with some baseball talk.
Thank you very much, Jacob. And we have the Detroit Tigers, who completed a 3-game sweep of the Boston Red Sox during their 6-game homestand. Tuesday night had Javier Baez hitting 2 home runs, one of which was a walk-off in extra innings. Can we see the clip, please?
Here we go.
It's homered earlier.
Javier Baez.
First one in the air, deep left field again.
Bam.
Yes, Tigers win. Javi is unstoppable.
Again, it's really crazy to think about how far he's come in the past few years after his struggle. The move to him in center field has been a great thing, and has been an unexpected benefit in the team going forward, along with the other guys that we've talked about in the past.
And it's flying off shelves.
This is almost the same pitch he hit for a 3-run homer earlier in the game. Dialed in, gets the hands back.
That is absolutely 100% genuine depth piece, and he's one of the big reasons why this Tigers team is they're literally knocking it out of the ballpark, and literally just doing pretty much every little thing right. That's what's making this Tigers team really not only a lot of fun to watch, but just absolutely why they're crushing almost everyone they play. And you know what? Here's another thing. This is a Tigers team also that's battle tested. They've been able to, any kind of game you can throw at them, they can find a way to win it. You want to take it to 10 innings, they'll find a way to walk it off. You want things to be boring? Okay, they can make things boring too and just win, blowing teams out. But the point is, this Tigers team, they are growing. They continue to get better. They've learned a lot from their playoff wins and losses from last season. And all the lessons that they're taking right now, they are applying it well, and they're improving upon everything they're doing. The iron is sharp.
There's a reason this team is first in not only the AL Central, not only first in the overall AL standings, but has the best record, first in overall baseball records. This team right now is good. And in Detroit, fans are having fun. And when fans are having fun, the players know it just goes great all around.
Yes, indeed. And I will say this. Tyler's got a lot to smile about with his Tigers, and so far, all right, a little bit of a shift in the subject. Being a Cubs fan, I've got quite a bit to smile about, too. Cubs continuing to do well this regular season, but they got some work to do, because right now, the red-hot St. Louis Cardinals are hot on their tail right now in the NL Central. The Cubs, I believe, have a 1-game lead. And right now, they're playing the White Sox as we speak. So, got to take care of business in the crosstown rivalry against the White Sox. Just got to, bats need to be loud. We need pitching to be a little stronger, of course. Or just, Cubs right now, the things that they're doing well this season, they just, got to stay focused on doing those things. And those series with the Cardinals are going to be, so much more significant, because those series, I think, are going to decide between those two teams who's going to win the wild NL Central.
That they can. And who certainly thought the Cardinals would have such an impressive run with how they did against the Phillies recently as well? Not many people did after how last year turned out for them. It's definitely a wonderful thing if you're in the gateway to the West, that's for sure.
And, being a Cubs fan, I mean, of all the teams you didn't want to see on your team's tail, of course it would be the Cardinals. But I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, because when it comes to the St. Louis Cardinals, the expectation is excellent baseball. They're supposed to be good. Last year was kind of like, what the heck is going on with them? This year, though, the St. Louis looking more like the Cardinals team we expect to see, Absolute playing with excellence in baseball. So, not going to be easy for the Chicago Cubs. If they want to win the NL Central or let alone make the playoffs, they're not just going to have to go toe-to-toe with the St. Louis Cardinals. They're going to have to every opportunity they get. Bats cannot be quiet. They gotta beat them, and in my opinion, you gotta beat those Cardinals really good because they're not. I know that they're not going away anytime this season, and it would not surprise me if both of these two teams are in the postseason. And as of right now, we're just trying to figure out, okay, who's going to represent the NL Central and who's going to be banished to the wild card round.
Of course, granted, the NL Central and wild card representations could very well be both playing wild card games if they don't secure either of the top two seeds in the overall NL standings for the wild card for the byes.
Yes, sir. So to close off this subject, well, if you're a Tigers fan, okay, the MLB regular season's a marathon, but the Tigers right now, they are running this marathon to perfection. Like, they've got a strategy. They're winning consistently at a rate where I don't think you really have much to worry about. No doubt the Tigers are going to be in the postseason this year because they do not seem to be – not only are they showing no signs of slowing down, they're winning in – not only the most boring ways, but the most exciting ways too. Any kind of game you want with the Tigers, they could find a way to win. For the Cubs, a lot less room for error. Got to take care of business against the teams you're supposed to win over, and you got the Cardinals hot on your tail. Got to beat them as many times as you can. That's where I'll leave this subject.
Likewise, worry about what you've got right now.
Indeed. Shifting gears, and I do mean literally shifting gears. It is the month of May, after all. For all you race fans, you're thinking about the Indianapolis 500, and that is it within 1 week, a little over a week to go. We're going to talk about qualifying and bump day. But before I get into this, my man Tyler Lavalette has some wonderful news for all the locals in the city of Indianapolis and beyond in the suburbs.
Absolutely. This broke at 11 a.m. IMS officials and including President Doug Bowles and Chairman Mark Miles announced that with the grandstand selling out and general admission tickets still available and infield tickets still available, the local blackout will be lifted for the first time without any asterisks, i.e. COVID or last year's rain delay, for the first since 2016, when a full grandstand sellout for the 100th running necessitated the blackout lifted on Indianapolis station WRTV at the time. This time, we have several factors to really consider. High demand and Kyle Larson appearing. There's also Fox debuting their race coverage for the 500, meaning Fox 59, if you're in Indianapolis, will air the race live, not just the pre-race stuff, but they'll air it live too, as well, and at 10 a.m. with the race coverage and a 7 p.m. rebroadcast, as is tradition for the many fans that don't go. Also, being able to factoring in is the fact that Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals involves the Pacers, so they likely know there's going to be some potential overlap there, and because a live event and a tape play event are going to go head-to-head against each other. We'll see what happens in the overall ratings. I have long made my point that IMS should get rid of this blackout permanently. However, for now, I am glad that the blackout is lifted, and that if you're in central Indiana, you're going to be able to watch this in real time. Enjoy it and have fun.
Woohoo! And when Tyler told me this news, I all smiles right here. There is a chance I probably will be down in Indianapolis, or may not, for lack of better words. But to know that there is going to be no blackout of this year's Indy 500, first of all, I'm most happy for the people around the local areas around Speedway, Indiana, because that's where the blackout affects a lot of the audience. Like, if you're around the Speedway, Indiana, around those areas like Fishers and Lawrence and even Noblesville, Indiana, like, the race would be blacked out. Normally would be blacked out. But to to those who are looking forward to watching the race from those areas, thank the fans who bought tickets to this race. Because without these great fans, we'd have another year of this blackout. But this is one of the few years where the blackout is not meant to be, because race fans are showing up to the Speedway in great droves. Shout out to the fans.
I will say this, though. I once saw an old new YouTube video from Indianapolis station where bar owners were lamenting about having empty restaurants during the 500 because they couldn't show it. Now with the 1-2 combo of Indy 500 plus Pacers, those bars are going to definitely be recouping a lot of revenue from food and alcohol sales. There's a plus right there in of itself.
Oh yeah, I've already got thanks to Tyler over here. I've got a nickname for this year's Sunday, in which the Indy 500 will fall on. Pacers and Racers. That's what I'm calling it.
Nice.
And these bars, get ready to celebrate Pacers and Racers. It's gonna be a lot of fun. There's not gonna be another day like this in Indy for a long time. It's not every day you get to see the Indy 500 and the Indiana Pacers on the same day.
Not every day. Anyway, we have had 3 days of practice, including today's Fast Friday. Well, 4 days, actually, for 2 days up till now, heading into weekend practice for full field qualifying on tomorrow, and then bump day and for the final 4 drivers that won't make that. We'll try to be for the last row with one guy going home, and the Fast 9 shootouts for pole position.
Absolutely. So to add on to something what Tyler said, I'm going to explain to the audience who doesn't know how the little details of Indy 500 qualifying. Each driver, whether it's bump day or the Fast 12, Fast 6, each driver gets 4 laps around the track. You go around the track 4 times, and how your time is determined is by your average based on all 4 laps that you run. The scorekeepers at the Indianapolis 500 are the guys who take the times. They'll combine them all together, and then they'll pump out what is the average lap that driver has had. And something else to keep in mind: typically, the more time the driver is out on the track for qualifying, the slower his lap time will get. His first lap time could be really amazing, but then afterwards, usually it's downhill from there. And a lot of that is putting rubber on the racetrack. Like, as you put more rubber down it, you lose a bit of that grip, and your lap times will get slower. Some drivers, though, for them it's an exception. And somehow, like, their third lap could be much faster than their second lap, and that could, wow. And usually that's what happens with the pole sitter. Shifting gears a little bit. Okay. Oh, man. This is the hardest part of qualifying the Indy 500. You think the heartbreaks happen on the racetrack? Qualifying, this is where some of the biggest heartbreaks happen, because there are plenty of teams out there that are striving just to make the Indy 500, just to have that opportunity to race. And at the end of the qualifying on Saturday or Sunday, I believe
Yep.
4 drivers, the bottom 4 drivers, the slow 4 will be pitted against one another. And at the end of all that, the slowest of the slow 4 will see their dream of racing in the Indy 500 come to an end.
It is rather unfortunate. Mind you, we have had fields greater than that in the past. We've also had 36 drivers. To know that you're there's only 4 drivers to go for the 500 qualifying makes it all the more excruciating.
Absolutely. I cannot 100% imagine what those guys who are in the slow 4. I cannot 100% put myself in their shoes and feel their pain and the pressure of just to make the race, because you got to go out there and you got to lay down for the 4 best laps of your life. They might not be the fastest on the day between all the cars that are qualifying, but you got to lay down 4 laps that will get you into the Indy 500. speaking of predictions, so I've been watching the practices, and I just got to say, there's some teams that I'm really concerned about, one of which is Prima Racing. They're new to this whole thing. They're qualifying for their first Indy 500, and excuse me if I pronounced the name wrong. I don't know if it's Prima or Prima, but that team right now is they got their work cut out for them. Callum Ilott and also Robert Schwartzman. They have not shown a whole lot of speed in practice. This is really worrying. And in addition to that, Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing.
Oh,
Again?
great.
What? Oh, my goodness. It's almost like I feel so bad for their drivers. And right now, the slowest of their drivers is Graham Rahal.
Oh, no.
Again, for the third year. What is going on? Oh, my goodness. So, what I just did right here, I've just named 3 drivers. These are 3 of my predictions on who are going to be in the slow 4. For my 4th and final, I'm going to make a bold prediction, and I'm going to say that the Andretti curse is going to strike in a unique way and banish Marco Andretti to the slow 4.
Wow. Now, granted, all these predictions could be wrong, and Prima could have Prima, Andretti, Ray Hall could all have good qualifying. And come on, we'll see.
Yes, we will. So, move it to end this part of the subject. So, I mentioned my slow 4. My prediction for who will miss the Indy 500, I'm going to go with the rookie Robert Schwartzman. Lacking that experience of racing at Indy, combined with Prima's very slow speeds, this is a recipe for disaster. I hope I'm wrong, and I do hope he makes it, but it's not looking good for this new team that's trying to start its first Indy 500. So that's my prediction for the slow 4. Let's move on to a little more positive. We're going to go straight to the Fast 6. So this is, as it's mentioned, the fastest 6 guys, and these will be the fastest 6 remaining to qualify for the pole on Sunday. Prediction-wise, I got Alex Palou, in no particular order. Alex Palou, Scotty Mack or Scotty McLaughlin, Tyler's driver, Joseph Newgarden. He's been fast all week. Patricio Award, I think, is going to show a lot. Mm-hmm. And I've got, call me biased, but I'm going to say Alexander Rossi, and a lot of that is because I like because Ed Carpenter Racing, they always have one guy that somehow makes the Fast 6, or at least the top 12, and why not Rossi? And for my last guy, you can never count out Scott Dixon.
Nope. You can never count. Those are some pretty solid predictions. I've got a bad feeling about Prema as well. I don't like Schwartzman as well. The fact that a lot of their Tuesday practice time was spent converting a street chassis, that's road course chassis, for the ovals and not using your dedicated oval chassis did not help.
Yeah. I want to ask, so what Tyler just mentioned is that Prima Racing was very slow. And keep in mind, the first part of the first practice was rain out. And yet Prima was slow to get things set up, even when they had all that time. So when you got something like that, and then combined with, and you're seeing it kind of in with the slow start they had to setting their cars up, you're seeing it in their practice results. There's just a lack of speed going on there. It's, wow. I mean, okay, they're new to this game. All right, they're new to the IndyCar and the Indianapolis 500, so there's going to be bumps in the road. You can expect that from them. And I think at least one of their guys is going to make it. Mm-hmm. I mean, but either one of them could miss it, either Schwartzman or Callum Ilott. It could be either one. We never know who. All we can do is watch the whole darn thing. Only one way to find out.
Yep.
Who's going to suffer that pain? In terms of who I think is going to be, you're probably wondering, who do I think is going to be on the pole? My wild guess says our points leader, Alex Palou. He's been fast at Indy, but we'll find out if he can win. I mean, the race is a whole different animal, but qualifying-wise, Ganassi has had that power, and it's been between Palou and Scott Dixon, and sometimes with an occasional Penske entry. Mm-hmm. Last year was Scott McLaughlin, but I'm feeling Alex Palou will win this year's pole position.
Yeah, that's not a bad prediction. That team has been doing pretty good. Only one race they didn't win, and even at Long Beach, and even then there was only a second-place finish. Of course, you're getting fans saying that racing is getting boring because of Alex being so dominant. But seriously, what we are watching in IndyCar is a special driver. That's something we need to appreciate, even if the racing may seem to be a little dull and lifeless at times.
You're going to get some races like that. I mean, not every race is going to be exciting, but the good news is, hey, we still got the Indy 500 and plenty more Indy car races coming up. And you never know. Kind of like, MLB, auto racing itself, not a sprint. It's a marathon. 17 IndyCar races, and these are grueling races. Anything can still happen. Alex Palou, as well as he's doing, he can't get too comfortable right now. He's still got to take care of business, especially in the Indianapolis 500.
Absolutely.
Who do you think's going to start on the pole, Tyler?
I wouldn't mind seeing Newgarden start his chances on going for the first three-peat winner in history on the right foot.
All right. Honestly, that's not a bad. Honestly, it would not surprise me if Newgarden wins the pole either, because watching him in practice, it feels like he's been running, pretty much circling the entire field or making passes on the field all throughout the way. For lack of better words, he's doing donuts on the whole field. All right. Shifting gears now. So, just this week, the NFL announced schedules for all 32 NFL teams, and today, me and my man Tyler Lavalette, I'm going to discuss the Bears with you, and Tyler Lavalette is going to talk about the Lions.
Absolutely. Let's go through it.
All right, so I'll start with my Bears real quick. Week 1 versus Minnesota. Week 2, the Lions in Detroit. Week 3 versus Dallas. Week 4 at Las Vegas. And then bye week for the Bears. Washington for week 6 at Washington for the Bears. The Bears will take on New Orleans at home. Week 7 at Baltimore. Week 8 at Cincinnati. Week 9 versus the New York Giants. Week 10 at Minnesota. Week 11 versus Pittsburgh. Week 12. Week 13 at Philadelphia for Black Friday. Week 14 at Green Bay Packers. Week 15 at home versus Cleveland. Week 16 at home against Green Bay. And then Week 17 at San Fran. And then Week 18, Detroit Lions at Soldier Field.
Okay, it's important to know that we have the overlap with Chicago because we're in the same division as them. Anyway, let's go to the Lions, shall we? Week 1, early trip to Lambeau against the Packers. Week 2, host Chicago. Week 3, Monday Night Football tilt against the Ravens on my birthday. Week 4, home against Cleveland. Week 5, a trip down I-75 to take on the Bengals. Week 6, go against Kansas City. Another trip there after defeating them a few years back. Week 7, host Tampa Bay. Bye week in Week 8. Week 9, host the Vikings. Week 10, also another visiting our nation's capital, Landover, against the Commanders. A Sunday Night Football tilt against the Philadelphia Eagles in the City of Brotherly Love at the Link. Host the New York Giants in Week 12, Week 11 against the Eagles. Week 13, host Green Bay. Week 14, host Cowboys. Week 15 was on Thanksgiving Day against the Green Bay. Host the Cowboys one Thursday night week later on Amazon. Week 15, host the go to the LA to face the Rams. Week 16, end the home slate against the Steelers. Week 17, Christmas Day game against the Vikings in Minnesota on Netflix. And like it's broadcasted on a local TV station in Detroit per NFL broadcast rules. Same with the Amazon game against Dallas. And then go against Chicago against the Bears on Week 18 to end it out. Week 18 games are to be determined on kickoff and network times.
Absolutely. All right, now that we know our schedules, I will say this. There's quite a few things in both schedules, Tyler, that stand out to me. The first thing I'm going to mention is the placement of the rivalry games between the Detroit Lions and the Bears. We start out with Week 2. The Bears come to Detroit. This will be a good early test for both the Lions and the Bears. You got, Ben Johnson in his first season, start testing out new things early on against his protege in Dan Campbell in the heart of the Motor City. Going to be a good test for both teams. And then the two teams have to wait until the final week of the regular season to meet. And that game, of course, will be in Chicago. And you know what? There's a lot of possibilities here. Maybe the Lions have already locked up the division, or maybe, just maybe, could be our two teams for the division crown on week 18. One never knows. I mean, there's just so much. The placement of those two matchups, that just screams, all right, early test and to figure out what the iron on both teams looks like. And then when we get to week 18, we'll kind of know for sure where both teams stand in terms of the playoff race.
All very crucial stuff. I will say, I am not complaining that we're facing Green Bay to start the season in Lambeau. Gets that out of the way without having to worry about facing them in the frozen tundra. Win all around on that one. And what Jake brought up about weeks 2 and 18 for the Bears, very solid proof, I could also say as well. How do the fans greet Ben Johnson when he comes back to Detroit? Do they cheer him and thank him for the time he's been one of the coordinators, or do they now see him as dirt and boo him because opposing coach now? Yeah,
that's a good question, Tom. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of boo him just because now he's the coach of the Bears. And supposedly, and some more other thoughts as things go along, both of these two teams, so both our Lions and the Bears, another takeaway, they both have to travel to the jungle, that is Cincinnati, and take on the Bengals. A lot of people are always high on the Bengals, but will this Bengals team get back to the postseason? That's one thing I am looking for. They're always tough. You got Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase, and to play them in the jungle, no easy thing. Other thing I want to point out, both are playing Baltimore, and we're both going into Baltimore to play the Ravens. That's brutal. Ooh. And, of course, the Lions get them pretty early, so a pretty early test for the Lions, too.
At night, at a Monday Night Football game, too, no less.
Ooh. Hey, they could not have chosen a better game for Week 3 on Monday Night Football. And if I'm correct, the Bears are actually starting their season on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings.
Not bad.
Yeah, not a bad way to start. That'll be another good test. I mean, Vikings, new quarterback, still mostly the same team otherwise. And then in terms of the rivalry with Green Bay, you got to wait until pretty much around Christmas time, close to Christmas time, Week 14. They'll start at Green Bay, and then 2 weeks later, going into Green Bay. And, of course, both of our two teams, if I am correct, are both going into Philadelphia.
Yes, that is correct.
So the biggest takeaway I have here for both of our schedules is brutal. But you know what? If the Bears are going to make the playoffs, and if the Lions are going to show how good they are, you got to play the best of the best. You got to beat the best of the best.
That is true. Now the Lions are this good team with a shot at winning it all. You don't get the cupcake games anymore. You have to put on your big boy pants, get to work, and hope you don't have too many injuries on defense like how it was against Washington in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And, of course, speaking of Washington, the Lions, both the Lions and the Bears are also going into Washington this year. Bears looking for a little revenge for the Hail Mary that the Commanders put up on them. And then the Lions, of course, looking for some playoff revenge, too. So both schedules, in a way, are kind of similar. Both are also playing the Giants. One difference I notice is the Bears are going to, in terms of the NFC West, Bears are taking on a San Francisco team that could be a resurgent team this upcoming season. And the Lions are taking on, well, who else? Matthew Stafford and the Rams.
Wouldn't want it any other way now, would we?
No, indeed. So there we have it. There is your NFL schedules, and feel free, all websites, NFL.com, and the Bears and the Lions post these schedules. One final thing before we go, we're going to take a quick look into how the Stanley Cup playoffs are going. So the Edmonton Oilers going into their second straight Western Conference Finals after knocking out the Vegas Golden Knights in overtime on the greasiest of goals. Jets live to fight another game and force Game 6 against the Stars. Hurricanes of Carolina onto the Eastern Conference Finals. And is it memes or glory for Toronto? or feast and famine for Florida?
A lot to be determined. There is a strong possibility of 75% of the teams being north of the border. That's something to consider. And if you're Turner, one of our Discovery airing the finals, the Stanley Cup final, you're kind of going to be sweating a little. Now, if it's Toronto versus Edmonton or Toronto and Winnipeg in the finals, oh, you are not going to be enjoying it.
No, indeed. There are some Americans, though, even myself included, who would love to see the All Finals in Canada. Anyway, sports fans, that's all we got for this week's Friday Roundtable. We hope you've enjoyed it. And anything you want to say in the comments, leave below. Don't forget to follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports and everything else on YouTube, and Two Guys Talk Sports on Facebook. Special thanks to my friend Tyler over here, and special thanks to everybody at Waterford 10 Studios. And we are ready to sign off. This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Wish you all a good weekend, everyone. Bye now.